Hello, this is Ian VK1HF. That's me there, and my lovely wife. That's my QIZ page if you want to know who I am. And VK1HF, blah, 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 blah. So I'm making this video primarily for my two good friends, Case, VK1KVS, and Gunter, VK2JAP. Primarily because I've been talking a fair bit about using the Waterfall on the Flex radio display. So Gunter and I have got a setup where we've got a Flex Maestro radio, and I have the Maestro C console here at my place. I also use the software, and Gunter uses the software on his iPad. So a lot of ham radio folks that have sort of been around for a while or maybe new to it haven't really come across the Waterfall display so much. And I hadn't really used a Waterfall display much myself, and I thought they were kind of stupid, actually. I found them a bit annoying. I'm used to a classic old radio where you've got and I love the Steve, the importer of Flex Radio here, VK6SJ. He's sick of me ragging on, talking about how I want the original old school knobs and dials experience. To me, amateur radio has to have knobs and dials like this console here has, just like your classic Icom Kenwood Yaesu radios have. The Flex radio experience is very much not like that. It's a very computer, for the most part, it's a very computer-driven process, and so the Waterfall is a big part of that. So anyway, I've come to love the Waterfall display, and I'm going to try and explain here what it's all about. So if we think about this radio, this is an Icom IC7610 screens display. Obviously, I don't have an Icom IC7610. In fact, I used to have one here, and I sold that and got a Flex radio so I could control it remotely. But beautiful radio, beautiful radio. So think of this as this is your two VFOs, like VFO A and VFO B. It looks to me like VFO B is turned off. And you can see the S meter here. It's currently on about S1, so not transmitting, about S1. And so if you're listening to the speaker of the transmitter or the transceiver, the speaker is playing whatever's coming out decoded on upper sideband on 14.197.78 megahertz. So this line here where the M is, I think M is from main from memory, represents across the frequency board from 14.0 to 14.35. So that's essentially your whole 20 meter spectrum of amateur band use. That shows you what's going on the whole amateur 20 meter band. But what's happening right here where that red line is, that's what's happening where you're tuned into. So that's that. So what you can hear in the speakers is just whatever's on 14.197 on upper sideband. You can't hear the lower sideband. And you know, something up here or down here, this is 14 megahertz down here, so probably like 14. Well, there's 14.05 there and 14.1. So that signal's on about 14.09, and obviously you can't hear that out of the speaker. You could grab the VFO dial and you could tune down there. And as you're tuning up and down, of course, you would hear them, which we're all sort of familiar with, tuning up and down around the band. But when you get used to using a Waterfall display, it's just a whole lot better. No use of the word better. So this top part here shows you, and I'm going to show you on my radio in a minute. I'm just explaining it statically. And my radio is a Flex radio, so it's different, but it's a similar concept. This shows you here the whole entire band with these lines, if you like, representing the level. So if I was to tune, so if we say this here is like S1, so I would say that this point here, there, represents, hopefully you can see my mouse, represents S1. But if I was to tune the dial around and get to say this point over here or over here even, well, that's probably like a S7, for example, and this here is probably like a S9, right? And so that part above there, that black part and above, that's a moment in time snapshot. If you imagine that every sort of, say, 1/10 of a second, and you can change this rate every so often, we'll say every 10th of a second, we take literally a slice of what's going on here, like a snapshot in time, and we just add those below the line. And as we take a new snapshot, it's like Tetris. We put that on top and push the old snapshots down. And so over time, you get this display of what's going on. So you'll see on my radio in a minute when we go live what's happening. But just want to explain to you that if there's no signals at all here, and everything was just a flat line, like if the antenna was disconnected, you could expect to see just a sea of blue here, just blue, like probably about this color blue here where my mouse is, just that dark navy blue color, not light blue, just just that royal navy blue. That's all you would see. But because we've got signal traffic and noise, so signal plus noise going on, the waterfall display is showing that. And so if this was live, this part above the line here is dancing around, consistent with what signals are happening on the band at different locations. We're only going to hear 14.197, so we're going to see what's happening on the frequency we're on. And you can see here, just below here, I think this is the one we're tuned into this conversation, that red. So the higher the amplitude of the signal here, right, starting from say S1 up to say like S9's up around here and 1020 over, it's going to go from a light blue color, about kind of like, I guess this color here where my mouse is, hopefully you can see my mouse, and then to a really strong red color, which would indicate sort of like 10, 20, 30 over, which is that bar there. So, and that's going to, and then over time, it's going to get pushed down. So at the moment on 14.197, if you're listening to that, I would say that this is a conversation in place, and this person here has been talking. They've got a strong signal, and maybe you can't hear the other person, or maybe their signal is really weak. With the waterfall display, depending on sort of what you're doing and where you're at, you'll often have it zoomed right out or zoomed right in. So you'll see things a lot better when you zoom right in, and I'll show you on mine. But just looking at this one, if you look down the bottom of the band here, down near just below 14.05, this is the Morse code segment. So you can see all these Morse code signals, very clean, very thin, because it's just a carrier wave. And you can see, if you look at it sideways, if you turn your head on the left side, you can essentially read the Morse code. Now it's a bit hard on that one because it's kind of a bit blurry. But so that is a waterfall display. So I'll just switch over to my radio there. This is my radio. So you can see here, we've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Now, I can change the level, like the baseline level, because you can see that's basically my baseline about there. I can put it up a little bit higher, down a bit lower, and you can see that I'm tuned into 7.128 megahertz. Obviously, you can't hear that. I can hear it if I want to turn it up. And that signal there, that person talking, they're about, S5 through to S8 there somewhere. You can see their signal dancing up and down. And if we zoom right in, bang, 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 I'll zoom right in. See, they're talking again now. They weren't talking at this moment in time, but they're now talking. Now, these horizontal lines that go right across, that's lightning. So at the moment, in lovely Australia, this radio site is down just below Canberra, but up here off the coast of Coffs Harbour, basically, there's a lightning storm there. So that's what we're hearing on the radio, or that's what we're seeing when we see these bars go across. In fact, you saw a minute ago these new lightning strikes, and then sure enough, you see them here going across as horizontal bars. So this is two people having a conversation, two stations. This guy's got really strong audio. This guy's audio is not as strong. I would argue the signals are about the same level. Sometimes when a person is really driving the audio very hard, it doesn't show up on the S meter so much, but it's very apparent on the waterfall display. So the reason I like it is that we're sitting here listening to this person on 7.128, but I can see what's happening on the rest of the band. Like I can see over here on 7.148 that there's a conversation going there. Whereas if I just tuned over there at a particular moment in time, I might go over to there when there's nothing happening. So here I can see it historically. Now I'm going to go up here and click on the display button, and I'm going to, what am I going to do? I'm going to change my frames per second, I think it is. Increase that. No, that's the top one, 25. What do I want? I want the rate, sorry. So my frames per second is above the line here, basically. My rate is how fast the waterfall refreshes. See my waterfall's going a whole bunch faster now down the screen, and I can bring it right back slowly and make it go way slower again. So I can see that's actually super slow. Like I guess that's 12 frames per second or whatever it is. So I typically have it up somewhere about, probably about here. It's kind of what I like. So you can change the waterfall display. Now I can also change the way, I like the way this displays, but if I change, it is this one, I think. No, not the fill, the color game, 31. So if I ramp this up, see how everything now is a whole lot different in the way it looks. So my base color, if you like, is mega different. But I like it to be about like this. Yep, that's pretty good. Essentially, when there's no signal, I just like it to be like that blue color, just like that there. So on your waterfall display, you can change a whole bunch of stuff. Now, what else do I want to show you? So I'm gonna go zoom out to the band so I can see the whole band here. So if you look in there, I can see, well, there's a bit of Morse code going on down the lower end here. This looks like Morse code traffic there down the bottom, just above 7020. That's a strong Morse code signal. So I might be up here looking around, and then I see something like over here. I go, oh, what's happening over here? So I can double click over here. Now, most of your waterfall displays, you can click on them with your finger or with your mouse or whatever. And now I'm on 7.187. So what's coming out my receiver is going to be 7.187. But I've got this whole band at a glance to what's going on. So if I'm in case this is for you, VK1 KBS, if you're down here doing Morse code, for example, I can grab the band and move the band up, and I can zoom in like that. So I'm quite zoomed in. I'll change my mode, bring my radio control here, and I'll change my mode from lower sideband to CW. So you'll notice that my bandwidth is way smaller. So if I'm tuned into here, I'll just double click on this guy, 7035. And I'm wondering, oh, what else is on? See this guy here? He's just come up there. So maybe he's calling CQ. Don't know. But we can just see what else is on the band without having to tune around. But especially with CW, if you're tuning around, you'll often be on a frequency right in between when someone's calling CQ and waiting for a reply. So this is a great way of seeing what other signals there are and what else is strong. This guy's, what's he say? So he's not transmitting at the moment. He's listening, right? See when he comes back. So he's obviously in a QSO. Can we read the Morse code? CQ, CQ. CQ, I think that's CQ to be honest. I reckon he's sending CQ. CQ, 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 DE, DE, maybe not DE, VK, not sure. Anyway, we could turn the speaker on and have a listen to it. But the point is there that it's just, you can just see so easily like Morse code. Here, 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 a little bit there maybe. There, 7032, 7035, 036, 038, 039. 7040, not sure what that is, and a bit of other stuff here. I don't think that's not Morse code. So, so that's how the waterfall displays work. Now, what else did I want to show you? Something else. So for those that have got a Maestro radio, that's a waterfall on a Maestro. So that's actually displays a bit funny. That's almost a bit perfect. They don't typically look like that, but these are really strong signals here. Obviously, they're quite strong anyway, you can see there. But these are, as time goes down, you can see that they're recorded in time. So maybe each bar of those is a snapshot in time. I've never had my waterfall displaying like that. I certainly have plenty of strong signals. So I was going to actually show you. I've got some signals. I've got some photos here to show you. I'll just open these up. So I'll bring this into view. So this was my waterfall display during so that's on my Maestro screen here, the physical screen sitting beside me. So you can see it's just a photo I took with my phone. And that's at our radio site. And that is Morse code during a CW contest. So you can just see tons of Morse code stations, but you see how nice and easy it is to just see sort of what's what and who's who and where they are. These are just some other samples of different frequencies and just looking at what's happening. 30 meters, Morse code there. Big strong station over here to the right hand side, massively strong station on the commercial segment. Someone down here doing maybe RTTY, RTTY perhaps. You can see there's that bit there and that bit there. Looks like they're switching between. So so that's the Maestro. So, sorry, that's the waterfall. Now, if you're not used to a waterfall display or you don't have one, well, there's always the Kiwi SDRs. So this is Kiwi SDR. This is running over in the States, and this is the waterfall display. So I can, I don't have a classic VFO dial here. This is all computer based. So I'm on 3.6 megahertz here. I can zoom in and zoom out. You can see this is a conversation. I'll click on there. I can use my little up and down buttons here. That's a classic human voice. It's lower sideband. So here's your carrier frequency. And as the person speaks in higher frequencies, the line is out here further. So this is a classic sort of, it's actually interesting. If you ever watch a male and female conversation, you'll see the frequency difference in the voice. So that person stopped transmitting. They're obviously in a QSO. And typically the classic male voices, there's a lot more going on down at the lower end and then the higher frequencies. And because we're on lower sideband, the higher frequencies are further away to the lower side or the lower frequency from the carrier. If we're on upper sideband, it'd be the opposite. I wonder if I can find something on 20 meters to show you that. That's 30 meters. Let's try 20 meters. See if we can pick up a conversation on 20 meters. So you see my waterfall is starting to fill up now. I'll just zoom in a bit. 14.18. There's not much going there on 20 meters. In fact, I'd say there's nothing. So let's just leave that one, switch over to one here in Australia, the Iron Range SDR. We'll switch on to 20 meters for that. See if we can find something here on 20 meters. Okay, so this is a conversation here. And we're on lower sideband, so I'll select upper sideband. So this is my carrier now, and go down like that. So that person's on 14.105. It's a pretty popular frequency. But you see now the frequencies of the voice are above the carrier versus below, because it's upper sideband versus lower sideband. So yeah, so that's your Kiwi SDRs. They're very good to look at. You can change the waterfall rate here. So you watch here, it goes much slower. It's like super slow, 1 hertz. That's 1 refresh per second, I'm guessing. And you can change the floor like this, change the color of it, change how the signals are displayed, basically. I've never done ceiling. I guess that's like that. I just haven't mucked around with that one. But that's Waterfall. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about was, so Waterfalls, where can I go there? Back to my radio. I love Waterfalls. This view now is probably my favorite view, where I've got so in the old days, I would just want to see very much a view like this one here. Let me show you. I'd want this view here, and I'd be getting rid of this, and I'd want basically the whole screen to show essentially the frequency and my S meter, and maybe some other meters, compression or whatever. Whereas now I actually prefer this screen. So you can still see I've got the details for my slice and my VFO, frequency, mode, S meter readout, so on and so forth. But most of my screen is taken up with the waterfall. So I can see what's happening where I am, where I'm tuned in, if you like, 7028. But I can also see what else is going on the rest of the band as well. I can zoom to the band, show me the whole band, or I can zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, and so on and so forth. So that's that. So I just wanted to then talk band zoom to show me the whole band. There we go. So this is a pretty good looking display because the radio is in quite a good location. So this is nighttime at my friend's place where we have the radio. And aside from the lightning strikes, which you can see there as the horizontal bars, it's really quite good. The blue is just clear, nothing. And the lighter blue and the almost yellow colors, they're signal. So that's a strong signal there, for example. If I double click on that, change my mode, I'll just bring the controls up here to sideband, lower sideband for 40 meters. I'll zoom in a bit. And they're on 712, 7130, 7128, I guess, yeah. So that's a strong signal. Now, so the only thing I'll say that's bad about waterfalls is, and this guy actually here, this guy, where is he here? Callum, M0MCX, this is the guy from DX Command. You can see his channel down there. I would have a look at his video because it's actually quite good. I quite like his videos. I didn't, hello Callum if you're watching, I didn't like his videos in the beginning, but I think they've got better and I actually really quite like them now. So he's got this one, shortwave and the problem with waterfalls in AM radio. And he talks about the fact that in the old days, all you could do was basically just tune around and listen around. And his story there is how he tuned around and he heard a station that he couldn't really see on his waterfall. And he heard this station in Indonesia and he worked that station, came back to them. So, of course, in the old days, you would do it's like gold prospecting. You would just sort of tune around listening for different things. Whereas nowadays, we are all spoiled. So watch that video. That's handy. Nowadays, we're spoiled. We can it's like walking to the goldfields and you can just see what's there straight away. Now, I used to have this problem. I used to do a fair bit of archery whereby I had all this really good archery gear. And if it was a windy day, I wouldn't go and do archery because I think, well, what's the point of it? Because it's a windy day, the arrows will get blown off. But the reality is many days I'd go out and I would do archery in the wind and I still enjoyed it. But I'd look at it and go, oh, there's no point in doing it because it's a windy day. So with a waterfall display, you can literally just look at the whole band, many bands. If you're dual VFO radio, you can have multiple bands going at once, just as a snapshot view. And you can see, whilst I can't show you here, if you play around with the different Kiwi SDRs, you will see, if I'll click on map, we'll open them up. And we'll just open up any old random SDR and we'll see how we go. And I'll pick one in, where will I pick one in? Maybe in England, see what's going on here, Dublin. I've got no idea if this is a good one or not. They're all obviously the same device, but it depends on where they are. They might be in the city, you might be getting a whole bunch of noise. JJ is my call sign. Um, so you can see here, looking right across the brand, just turning it off, and then zooming right in. I'll go into say, I guess it'll be daytime there, so we'll go for 40 meters and we'll zoom in. Now that's actually pretty good. But sometimes you'll see, I think this here is, it doesn't really look like a conversation. These things here look like interference to me, some sort of radio interference, RFI from whatever. This is not a particularly clean looking waterfall display in terms of seeing the signal to the noise. Now, because you can see there's a lot of this light blue color here, which is, if you're tuning around, that would just sound like noise. Whereas when you get a good waterfall, you can really clearly see, the signal, the ambience there, just nothing but other than noise, just atmospheric noise, and the signal really clearly differentiated. So yeah, so what I'm trying to say is the waterfall's great, but it can be a bit anxiety inducing because, and my friend Gunter, hopefully he's watching this video, hopefully you got this far, Gunter, VK2JAP, he will tell you that I would always look at the display and any noise at his place, his location, whether it's from the fridge or the inverters or whatever, I would see it all over the waterfall display and I'd be like, no, that's useless, you've got to fix that. And he's had no end of fun fixing those things. And thank you very much, Gunter, for fixing those things, making it a great location for radio. So that's the waterfall. Waterfall's great. Don't let it rule your life though, because there's still fun in tuning around the band. But more importantly, I just sort of want to explain what the waterfall is, what the value of it is, and how it works. Okay, thank you from, I'll put my picture up here, from Ian. There's me. Where am I? Down here somewhere. VK1HF. That's me and Ingrid. Okay, thanks. Cheers.